If only they knew. The hub for young business minds.
Yes, people, it's Ted Lawler, aka Mr. IOTK from If Only They Knew, the UK's #1 podcast for young business minds. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at IOTK Podcast to stay in the loop. Today, we speak with Alex Crockford, famous personal trainer and creator of the Crockfit app. Alex speaks to us about how he went viral, successfully building a side hustle, and much more. So if you're looking to find out how to get your mindset, body, and business in the best shape possible, this is the podcast for you.
Wow, where to begin? I'm Alex Crockford. I'm a fitness model, personal trainer, creator of the Crockford app, fitness creator on social media platforms, and really just hopefully an inspirer, motivator for people to get fit and healthy and chase their dreams.
No, definitely. And like I said, I've been following you for a while now, and you're definitely motivating me to sort of just even on the content side of things, let alone sort of the fitness side of things, just the content, seeing what you're putting out. I'm like, okay, I need to up my game a bit
Yeah.
because it looks great.
Well, thank you. I'm really excited about this conversation because obviously you just mentioned that you followed me for a few months. So maybe you don't know much about the birth, the journey, like the whole progress. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Like I said, I've been following you probably about a year now. It's all the months and that seems to have blurred into one. So it's probably about a year. So yeah, you're right. That's one of the reasons I wanted to sort of I can see where you're at now, and it looks like you're doing really well, and it looks great from an outsider's perspective. But I want to dive in deeper. So with that being said, I always say to understand who someone truly is today, it's quite good to rewind the clocks and understand what they was like, and more importantly, what they was doing when they was younger before all of this started to take shape. So for you, what did a younger Alex look like? What were your interests? What was your why before you got into this?
Yeah, I think I've always been into fitness. I've always been into sports, and I think we could go down that line for many hours about what that teaches you, what fitness and sports teaches you about business, about life, and about work ethic. And I think that's probably where it all began. But outside of fitness and sports, I think I always had a big work ethic, a loving family, a supportive family, a family that always made me do the work but appreciate the rewards, and nothing was given easily. Like I remember my first job as paper round boy, going to do jobs that I didn't like, earning my own little tiny bits of cash so I can buy my own ice creams. All of the I was quite a self responsible child, looked after myself quite a lot, but also had a lot of love and positivity around me.
That's quite an important characteristic, I think, between people that do go on and become a success independently and do their own thing, is that sort of get up and go. And it's something that I don't think I had. I guess that's more sort of because I didn't have any role models. And you sort of referred to it there. I guess your role models were the inspiring family that sort of helped and motivated you and supported you, isn't it?
Yeah, my family around me were always hardworking and always supported me to make those early decisions to go out and work, and know that they were there to help me if I needed, but also gave me the chance to be really individual, really responsible for myself. And like you said, it doesn't have to be there. You can go on and from whatever direction. But my journey was working hard from the beginning, in like taking on that work ethic. And I think that has just stayed with me for years and years and years onwards. And I remember my school friends, or even all the way up into university, like my housemates and people like that, where I was using my weekends to work and start my experience and earn a bit of money when they were out partying and having a good time, which of course I had a bit of a good time as well, but maybe not quite as much, because I was so focused and driven for what was next. And I think that's the next thing, is that I've been blessed with quite a lot of clarity. There's been times where obviously it's a bit confused and frustrated, but most of the time I always know what I'm working towards. And I hate seeing what that is without doing anything about it. I've always thought, like, I need to work towards that right now, whatever it is, that next step. I don't settle or delay. I'm moving to the next thing, and that's been with me right from college to university. So why would I spend my weekends chilling out when I want to become a personal trainer and do all of that, which is where I was back then.
And that's it, isn't it? You obviously referred to it there, like the sacrifice. I had Nathaniel Wood, who's a UFC fighter. He was on last week's episode, and he mentioned that as well. He said he, like, much like you, he had that vision of where he wanted to be, and he looked at where he was now, and he sort of just drew a bridge, and he said, okay, if I want to get from here to there, I can't go out every weekend and sort of party. I can go out on the odd occasion once I've done what I needed to do today. So I guess you're saying sacrifice is sort of essential to where you are now.
Yeah, to some levels, at least, to understand that you can't have everything, or you can't achieve certain results with a particular behavior. And if you want different results, then you have to change a certain behavior, or change something up, or make sacrifices. I see it all the time with a lot of people, is that if they have settled or delayed for a few years or a period of time and they're frustrated by it, you got to look at the behavior, because what you're doing now and who you are now is creating the results that you have right now. So if you want different results, then you've got to change the way you look at life and the actions that you take.
That's it. So your motivations getting into fitness, I guess, were somewhat internal. Obviously, you wanted to better yourself in some way, I guess, but you also had that future vision.
Yeah, it was all a journey. Right at the beginning was completely internal. I was playing football and basketball as a child and a teenager. And when I was old enough to go to the gym, like 15, 16, I went to the gym mainly for myself. I saw the guys with good bodies, strong at the sports, and it was totally for myself. And that continued. But as that continued, I also started to, well, I knew that my life and my career was going to be in fitness in some way. I didn't know that was going to be personal training specifically, but by the time it came to university time, I knew that I was doing this to become a personal trainer, and whatever direction that was going to go in. And I knew that the results that I had achieved and the incredible benefits of fitness, I wanted to share with others as well, which led me down the personal training route.
I'm glad you said that as well, about sort of, you didn't know how it would sort of look for you. You just knew that you wanted to be in that area, so you had to take the first step. And it's similar to what happened to me. I started all of this at uni, didn't have a plan really. I just knew I wanted to be involved. So I just thought, well, what can I do today? Step one, we'll find out what happens in step two in a few weeks, a few months time.
And I think some people get overwhelmed when they don't really know what it is that they want at the end, so that they end up taking no actions whatsoever. Just take the first step in that direction, and you could be taken off into multiple different directions. Like back at university and becoming an early personal trainer, I had no idea what now would look like. I knew that I wanted bigger, and I knew the direction I wanted to go in. But I didn't let it overwhelm me too much. I knew that you just got to keep on chasing to the next step, whatever direction that is. So don't be overwhelmed by the thought of what massive success you want to be in 10 years time, and think more about what are the things that you can do right now to get closer to whatever it might be.
That's it. Like you said, you never knew. You could have never have guessed almost where you would be now. So looking back, do you think that is there anything you almost regret, specifically in terms of like going to uni? Do you think, because for me, uni, it didn't feel like the ultimate, the best thing I could have done, but at the same time, it was the thing that caused me to start up everything I'm doing now. So it's sort of a catch-22. So for you, how was it? How vital was it to where you are now?
It's hard to know, because I know that you can become a personal trainer and have the same qualifications as I got in a matter of months versus the 3 years that I spent. But I don't regret that, because I think the early stages of me becoming a personal trainer, I had that under my belt. I have always felt like I've been chasing time, and I've always been very aware of my age and And as when I was 21, I thought, I'm young, this is good, but I already had some kind of wisdom to be like, people say this goes really fast, and I'm not going to waste time right now, because I know that I could regret my inactivity. So I've always known that I've got to do that. So I don't think the 3 years was a regret of mine. Just I knew that I needed to keep up the momentum and the speed. And I don't think I have any major regrets, really. I think anything that would have been different would have changed where I am now. And I think I'm on a great path. I think I've just learned a bunch of lessons along the way, which has then guided me to make better decisions as I go.
Now, everyone that listens to this podcast a lot will be laughing yet again, and I always mention it. But in terms of sort of everything happens for a reason, like you said, everything you've done has led you to where you are now. So it's almost perfect in a sense. Do you think that everything happens for a reason? And on that sort of note, what are your thoughts on like manifestation and sort of all that side of things?
I'm totally down with the law of
Hey.
attraction, law of vibration, manifestation, visualization. And if I think everything happens for a reason if you do have the right thoughts in your mind, and you do trust the process, and you are positive, and you are taking action every single day. If you're doing all the right things, then I believe that everything is happening for a certain reason. And sometimes you don't know or understand what's happening at the time, and you always connect the dots looking backwards, and time always seems a lot tighter and closer when looking back and think, that's happened because this needed to happen. And that's happened so many times. Like I progressed from a personal trainer into more of a, well, adding on fitness modeling as one of my massive goals, achieving magazine covers and being in magazines and working around the world as a fitness model was a massive goal of mine. At the time, it felt so slow. It felt like everything was like taking forever. Like I'd build a contact at a publishing company, and it actually took about 2 years after meeting him and going to a casting, which then resulted in like my first job working inside his magazine or something like that. Looking back, it seems like it was perfect, but back then I was like, is anything ever going to happen? But it taught me about relationships, about networking, about patience, about being a good person, about being trustworthy, about gaining respect, all of these things. Because now, after like being in the fitness industry, which is very comparable to many different industries, is that it takes time to do all those things. And you see people come in and out of the industry, and now you're like, where are those people now? It's the people that stick at it a long time that get furthest. Some people get quick overnight success, but they're gone very quickly as well because they just hit the jackpot somewhere. But if you want real long sustainable results and success in business and whatever, then it's all about that longevity.
And you mentioned there, obviously, you don't know at the time, it may feel terrible. It may feel like the worst thing to ever happen. But then afterwards, you're like, oh, wow, that was actually such a short period of time looking back. And it led me to sort of where I am now. I guess my question is based off of that. What are some of the worst times you've had in this business journey? Because it seems like obviously you're doing a lot off your own back. So for a lot of people out there, all the young people involved in business, they're bound to, if they haven't already, come across massive hurdles, massive periods of time where everything just seems like it's pointless, it's worthless. So have you had those big dips, and how have you managed to sort of come out of those?
I think I've been quite lucky with a gradual transitional journey,
Right.
but there have been dips and risks along the way. For example, the transition from personal trainer to Crockford app and online growth was really tough. And I was working at a gym that really didn't understand what I was about or where I was going, because what I'd built up there was lots of hours, lots of clients, everything going well, me earning them lots of money. And gradually I would decrease my PT because I'm building up fitness modeling and Crockfit and Instagram alongside. But they didn't really get that. I said, if you let me just have more of a flexible approach here, then I'd be able to help you later with my further growth and promoting you, etc. Didn't get it at all. Gradually, our relationship got worse and worse and worse. And they picked up on something that I was doing elsewhere, like a boot camp outside of the gym, which I'd been doing for 2 years already with some colleagues. I got brought in for a disciplinary, which was only going down the route of being dismissed, or I could fight for it and maybe keep my job with a slap on the wrist, but it was bad.
Yeah.
The gym that I'd been working at for 7 years, I'm suddenly being brought in for a disciplinary for a really minor boot camp. So that was my decision where it wasn't it was going back to the last point where it happened for a reason, but at the time it was, oh shit, what's going on here? I decided to actually take the jump and just hand in my resignation because they gave me a kick out the door. So that was a nice way to leave, but it was what I needed. But at the time it felt like I've got to make profit happen. I've got to make fitness modeling happen. Like what I need to do has to be done now. And that fear and push out the door made me take action and make what I wanted to be a success. And that was probably one of the hardest times. Secondly was creating the Crockford app. Like I'd never needed to invest too much money in my business from the beginning because it was more of a time investment. I was selling an online product which was easy and cheap to make. It was a digital PDF. Like that was the birth of my Crockfit plans. And suddenly it came to the point in like 2017, 2018, where the way the direction was going was there are thousands of people just like me selling a PDF program right now. I need to take it to the next level with something flashier like technology, like an app. And back then, fitness apps were few and far between. Now, here we are 5 years later and everybody's got a fitness app.
Yeah.
But back then I knew that I needed to make that jump and invest heavily. So that was probably the biggest, toughest time because I had to invest a lot of money, of my own money that I built up from the business existing. And I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't know if it was going to be worth it. And that was probably the biggest dip where I had to really push hard to make it work. And I've been in a transitional journey from 2018 till now, making it work and making sure that the investment comes back through the work.
I'm glad you said that because that's what I'm going through now at the moment as well. Like I've sort of saved up this money and now it's got to the time where I'm like, okay, this is the time I have to invest. And now all of a sudden, all those thoughts are coming into my mind. What if it doesn't work? What if this happens? What if it's not as good as you think it is? So how did you overcome that thought process in your mind? Did you just say, look, if I've got, because this is what I'm thinking, if I want any chance of making it, this is the step I have to take. If I don't take this step, then everything's written off. I guess that was the thought process.
Well, yeah, that's exactly that. Like you got two options: is to jump and see if you can fly, or to stand still and burn in the lava. Or
yeah, that's it.
Some crazy analogy like that. Like if you stay where you are now, you're not going to win. So you might as well take the jump and learn how to fly as you go. And if you trust yourself and your work ethic and everything like that, then you'll find a way to make it work. And yeah, if it's as much of an investment as a car or a mortgage, get ready to make it work because you'll make sure it does. Yes. So good luck.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but before that as well, you mentioned obviously not just taking the risk to invest your money, but also taking a risk to leave your secure job at the time. So for those out there that are sort of on that brink of, oh, I'm waiting for the right time for me to leave my 9 to 5 and pursue this project, whatever it may be, do you think there's ever a right time? And if so, how do you sort of identify when that time could be coming, other than sort of what you said, sort of being forced to make that decision?
Yeah, I think there's risk is needed, but I think like it's got to be a thoughtful risk. It can't just be jumping and hoping it to work. I think fitness and personal training is very lucky because I was able to have the security. Even when leaving that gym, I knew that I could pick up a personal training client in my network, and if I were to fail or things not go as well, that would happen. And it was always a transition of building up Crockford whilst I was at the gym still. But my best advice is, if there is a right time, it is to work as much as you can as the side hustle outside of the 9 to 5, because there's a lot of hours, less Netflix, less gaming, less wasting time, and keep your 9 to 5 and security. Do the side hustle in all the hours in between until the point where you're like, wait a minute, the side hustle is really working. It's now actually not the side hustle, it's the main bit of work. The money's coming. I guess when you run out of time outside of your normal 9 to 5, and also when, of course, it's financially starting to equal, or not just financially, but financially able to support what you need as a minimum, because you might be a lot happier and a lot more passionate in your day to day if you've been working on that business and your 9 to 5 sucks potentially. You don't need to earn as much as your 9 to 5 straight away, because that's like the biggest battle. If you're in a corporation or a secured job with all the benefits, your small business might not equal that financially. But what do you want? Do you want the happiness and the excitement to wake up every single day working on you, even if it's a little bit less money to begin with, because you'll have the drive and the passion to earn more money doing that later on in the future. So I would say cut your expenses, cut your dead time, and once you've started to earn the minimum that you need to survive, go for it.
And yeah, that's it, isn't it? You sort of, if you are preparing for it, then you actually have to prepare for it. Like you said, start cutting your expenses, use your monthly wage almost as your investment, if you want to look at it like that. It's like, okay, this amount of money will go to bills, this amount of money is to fuel that side hustle. But I guess ultimately, in from what I've seen anyway, it seems to come down to whether or not it'll be a success, comes down to the passion, because I can see the passion just radiates through you whenever you talk about Crockford and everything you're doing. The passion's there. So how important of a role does passion play in sort of helping you become a success?
Yeah, I mean, it's massive, because it's the thing that keeps you consistent, and consistency in building a business, consistency in building a physique, a healthy lifestyle. It's all that matters. You've got to show up every single day. And if it's difficult, or if you don't enjoy it and it's not what like sets your soul on fire, and the thing that you can see yourself doing in 10, 20 years time or forever, then you're not going to be consistent at it, because when it gets hard, you'll give up. And we all know in business that it's when it gets hard that you have to dig deeper and push further and make something happen. So passion is everything. But also when it comes to, like, not all businesses are personal brands or public businesses, like out facing like mine on social media. Passion is hugely important for a personal brand like mine, because people are following me, people are relying on me to give them that mental boost, especially when it comes to fitness, is that they've got to, like, if I don't believe in it, if I don't believe it works, if I'm not living a great life and have that positivity and health vibrating out of me, then why would they invest in my product? Why would they want to watch my videos or do my workouts if it doesn't work? And I guess the same for any owner of a business, is you have a role to play in shining that out as well, and having people be drawn to you. And passion is one thing that people are drawn to.
That's it. There's a quote. I'm probably going to butcher this. A man with a why can withstand any how. Is that it, or is it the other way around? It's something like
I'm not sure, but
it's
it
something.
sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good,
Yeah,
whatever it means. Like, but
yeah,
basically, it means that, like you said, if you've got that purpose, that passion, when the when the hard times do come, which they will at some point, you'll be a bit more ready to sort of fight against it because you truly believe in it, isn't it?
yeah. That's so true.
Mm.
So true.
So for you, when did it start picking up? Because obviously we're sort of in the timeline. I guess you sort of imagine you left your job. When did you think, oh my God, this is it? Like I'm smashing it
Mm.
basically. When was that moment?
It's really hard to say. I think that might be based on some previous like goals that I set in mind. When you start to achieve goals that you first thought was massive, or you first thought that is impossible, or you think, if I achieve that, man, that would be incredible. When you start to achieve those things, I think that's when you start to think something's happening. So things like the magazine covers, getting my name published in stuff like those, and launching an app that people were downloading and using, and realizing that it was working. I think those are all the big moments for me to realize that this is happening.
Yeah.
Social media is a really tough thing. I think numbers and chasing numbers is really mentally tough, because you're always searching for more, you're always wanting more. It is difficult. And where is the place where you you realize that you've made it, or things are working out? It's really, there's no metric or time. I guess you can compare to others, but then you're leading yourself down like a tough route as well if you do that. So I think I'll round it off with saying, recently I found my community stronger than ever, in a private Facebook group, and doing a like a challenge on social media and all of that, and seeing people under my platform communicate with each other, which is ultimately my goal, is creating a community of like-minded people and getting fitter and healthier. When I've seen that happen underneath my platform without me intervening, I think that's now that I'm starting to make it feel like it's happening.
Yeah. No, it definitely does seem like you are building more of a a community more than anything, and it's really good to see that, especially obviously with the year everyone's had. So how did that feel, sort of having that? What's the right word for it? That sort of, I don't know. Was it a sense of sort of pride, like going through the pandemic, sort of knowing that all your community members are sort of looking up to you in a sense for happiness and
I'm
guidance?
I'm so proud and overwhelmed sometimes. And during the pandemic and everything, it's a difficult time for everyone, and especially health and fitness
Mhm.
and people's mental health. And knowing that I had a place to like a small part to play in keeping people positive and healthy, that felt incredible. When I see somebody saying that I've really helped them or changed their life during that period of time where it's all been really difficult for us. Of course, I'm not like saving people's COVID lives, and like really, it's probably quite a minute thing in the grand scheme. But what I can do is just keep to what I can do and create the impact that I can. And that's what's made me most proud, I think, seeing people react well to that.
That's amazing. And do you feel then that sense of responsibility, just as as somebody with a large following anyway, regardless of sort of what it is you do you feel that responsibility to sort of push positive messages and sort of for other people with platforms of any kind, even if it's a small platform, as long as you have people engaged, do you feel like platform owners, content creators, influencers, do you feel like they should be proactively putting out more of a positive, realistic message to their audience?
I think I do feel the responsibility of that, definitely.
Yeah.
Of course, in my realm and my industry of health and fitness, but also, like you said, using the platform for the greater good and whatever that might be. And I do try my best it like take for granted, like try not to take for granted what platform I have and how many people I can reach. So if there is a message to get out there, whether it's some global issue or mental health awareness or something which can really help a lot of people, or charities or things like this, I do always consider how I can help. And yeah, I do think that people and other platforms with huge followings should be doing the same, and many do incredible things. I do feel some slight pressure sometimes to turn up and do things like this, which is some when you build a platform with lots of followers, I guess it's the pressure that I've put myself up for, which I can't grumble about.
Yeah.
But it's just doing the best that I can with it.
Well, another quote for you: great power comes great responsibility. That's Spider-Man. Obviously, everyone knows that, but it's so true, isn't it? Once you start getting the following or that power, you really do sort of think, oh my God, I have to be really careful with this, because I can change sort of the scales and change the tide very quickly with just with just one message. You could influence somebody to think one thing.
Yeah, this was a gradual thing for me. Like I imagine like going on a program and waking up with 1 million followers, like doing Love Island or
Yeah,
something like that, and going from like nobody seeing you to then so many people seeing you. I can imagine I'd make a lot of mistakes, because when I was, my journey to getting more followers has been really quite consistent and gradual, no massive spikes or anything like that. So I've learned the responsibility as I've gone and be like, oh wow, that's the amount of people seeing this video, or that's the amount of people watching now. So my thoughtfulness has increased over time, thinking I've got to really be careful the things I say, and not just that, but if you set your mind specifically on you think this type of person might be listening to this, but you've got to realize that when you have a big audience, there's anyone and everyone with all different cultures and beliefs, and you've got to take it all for granted. You've got to keep it all in mind.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, talking of sort of having that large amount of following and views, you went viral a few years ago. I think, God, probably quite a few years ago now, isn't it? With the free hugs video. Do you mind talking us through that just quickly? Because I think that's quite a weird thing. And again, what you said before, it sort of probably perhaps wasn't part of the plan you would have had when you was like before you got into this.
Yeah, that happened before any Instagram, before anything. You're right, that was the viral video that happened before I had any personal brand, and I had no idea really which direction I was going in. And I'm grateful for a friend who likes to make videos, said, let's do this. It was all his idea, and I went ahead with it, and I had no idea that it would just blow up on Facebook and YouTube. And it's a great thing, because so many people that follow me now have found me via giving free hugs in London. And I'm very grateful, because that gives them a tone of who I am right from the very beginning. God knows how I do it now in COVID times, maybe free hugs too when we're allowed. But it's everything, like sharing the positivity, sharing the love, sharing the humankind, the human touch, and giving people a hug can really improve someone's day. So yeah, I'm really happy that that went viral, and that people, like, it gets shared now, and it got memed into a picture, and I see it all over Instagram still to this day. It's crazy.
That is mad. I think it's on like something stupid, like a few million views now, isn't it? Like 11 million views or something.
Yeah, it's not on my channel, it's on my friend's channel, and it's not monetizable because it's a copyrighted video, so it's not bringing in any ad revenue.
Oh, no. Got it. Am I right in saying, like, obviously you mentioned there like the massive sort of spike in following audience. Am I right in saying after you posted a particular photo, you lost like 1,000 followers almost instantly?
Yeah.
Tell us
Shall I
about
tell
that.
the story?
Yeah, yes, please, because that is insane to me. That just sort of shows how sensitive social media can be.
Yes, exactly. And it happens all the time, just not to the same kind of scale. So I got married to my wife, Sarah, mid pandemic, or in that gap where we were allowed to see
Yeah.
each other halfway through, and abided by all the rules, 30 people maximum in a church with a mask and stuff. I don't show Sarah too much, but of course I posted about my wedding and everything like that, and there was this enormous spike of unfollows, thousands, 3,000 I think in 24 hours. And it's hard to know what type of person that was, whether I've upset a lot of people relationship wise. Maybe some women or some gay men
Yeah.
maybe were very upset, I'm not sure, or maybe people very sensitive about why you're getting married during this time, kind of thing. So it's really hard to know what type of person, but you've got to not take it personally and be like, if that's enough for you to unfollow me, then clearly I haven't made enough of a positive impact on you for you to want to stay. So either come back later another time or move on. No big deal. I'm not for you. So I just had to let that go. And I tweeted saying what happened, and I hope we can still be friends or something like that, which then got picked up by a journalist, which is the article that you've seen.
Yeah, that's it. It is crazy, isn't it? It just, again, like we've mentioned, it shows the sensitivity of social media audiences, and also shows just sort of how careful you need to be as an influencer, which is nuts.
Yeah.
But the last few things that I'm really interested to know, as somebody in the health space, championing physical health as well as mental health, and building this community of really loyal people. How important is physical health, just in general, obviously, and especially during these times when everyone mentally has taken a battering? How can physical health help them out of any hole they may have dug?
I think like stuff that I've said a little bit already in regards to the relationship that um, physical health teaches you about resilience, and the fact that you can't get overnight success, thing that you can't get what you want tomorrow. It takes months and years of consistency of the same habits to get you what you're looking to achieve.
Mhm.
When it comes to the benefits of physical health and working out and staying active in regards to mental health and these tough times is just the incredible feeling that it gives you, the natural endorphin rush, the productivity and positivity that it gives you afterwards and during, the mental space it can give you outside of everything else. Like when I'm in the gym or doing a home workout or a yoga class or something like that, I sometimes escape and forget about what I was doing at the desk an hour before, the thing that was really frustrating me or the bad news that I had achieved. So that escapism is incredible. And often, once you've done that workout or you've been active in some way, you look at the problem or the issue a completely different way. The brain just responds physiologically to working out. When you get moving, you start thinking differently. And if possible, to really involve nature in that physicality as well. Not every time, but as much as you can, and every single day, getting out in nature and being in if you can be by the sea or on the beach or in the woods, in the fields, in the grass, it really massively helps. I don't know like what the scientific physiological aspects are, but for your mental health, it's a massive thing.
No, I agree, and that's again something from the bad times of COVID. That's something, a positive that I've picked up as well. When we first went into lockdown, I thought, well, I've got nothing else to do, I may as well start running. And then now I run almost every day. Obviously not now with the rain and stuff, but it does show that there is always something positive from any negative. And I've seen the impact that physical health has had. So yeah, I definitely agree with that one. Before we close off, I want to find out a little bit more about the work you're doing now, obviously, but also the app, because you've mentioned it quite a few times. It looks great. How important has that been for you to sort of get you to that next level of where you're going? And also, how important has it been for your audience, and how useful has it been for those guys? Because it seems to be like an accountability tool as well.
Yeah, definitely. Um, it it was the inevitable route of my business, taking it to the next stage. My business in Crockfit has always been online training programs, and that was the ultimate next step to make it all about tech and software. And I think the way the fitness industry was going was all about accountability, support, um, improving that interactivity, the gamification, to increase motivation. So that was everything. So whether it was like from my existing followers or existing people on my plans, it was a really important thing for them. Obviously, people who are finding me now never knew what a CrockFit PDF program was, but it's very important now that my massive passion is about really bringing down the barriers of health and fitness, and making the entry level to start really low and easy, because so much of what people struggle with is getting started or knowing where to begin. And I think if I can improve the tech of my app to make it feel less overwhelming, easy to start, supportive, that I am there, even with a mass market product, if I can show my personality and human touch alongside good quality technology, then that helps people get started. That's hugely important for me, and it's everything that I do. My business and my brand, the hub is the Crockfit app, and everything that I do alongside of it with Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook and whatever is more like a surrounding feature to the app, and that's. I'm very motivated to continue adding programs, improving the way it works to help people.
So is that what's next for you then? One of my final questions is what is sort of next in your mind? What are you thinking about next in terms of your next moves? It looks like it's all mainly on the app, isn't it? But I also heard, am I right in saying you want to get into another passion of yours, acting?
I was very tempted to mention this in a minute, because yeah, the app and my social media, everything that I've got going on now is everything that I want, just bigger. So I'll continue the growth of the social media platforms, doing the workouts, reaching more people, helping more people, continue to develop the app, improving the programs, getting more people on it. All of that, I think, is just going to continue growing, and I've got a lot of hard work and growth to do. But I do also want to push myself in this direction of acting, and it's weird because I went down the direction of fitness modeling, which went quite well, and it helped me get into the route of a bit of influencer marketing and working with incredible brands like Under Armour and supplement products and stuff like that. So I haven't ticked that off, but it's now just a part of what I do and who I am. So I have the ability to mentally push myself in a different direction. But the toughest thing is, you know how we spoke about the side hustle and the 9 to 5, and like I made my side hustle my 9 to 5, which is CrockFit, and my work now, which is just unbelievable. Still thinking back to the boy that I was and the personal trainer that I was. So I'm very grateful. But imagine making that your side hustle the 9 to 5, and then years later trying to build like the next side hustle on your new 9 to 5. It's just mind-blowing and extremely difficult. And that's what I found myself doing, is that I'm building this brand, this business, this app. It is a full-time thing, and I'm trying to build up something else which requires self-development and improving and coaching and teaching and all of that. But so much of what I've learned and what we spoke about at the beginning about the networks, the relationships, that's probably a big part of becoming an actor. Of course, learning how to act is one thing that I've been focusing the last 6 months with, hours like 4 to 6 hours per week, every week for the past 5 months has been put into acting coaching alongside of what I'm doing, which is really difficult because I can't really showcase what I'm doing. Like, so much of my work now in Crockfit is filming something and putting it out there straight away. So investing time has been a real challenge for me, but I know that working on something for the long term is what I'm doing. So it's just one of those things that I'm drawn to. And I don't think we should ever ignore something that's inside of us. And like I said, I had that wisdom of feel like my age could get ahead of me and I'd regret it. I have always thought, what about when I'm 100 years old on my deathbed? What are the regrets going to be if I don't take action? And I knew full well that I had this spark inside of me when I get messages from people saying, I'd love to see you on the big screen, or you look like this character in this film, or I'd love to see you as an actor. And I get these goosebumps and excited feelings. That's not to be ignored. You have to take action. And I'd much rather take action and fail and know than to never take action and never know. And that was the ultimate point for me. And I feel like I'm taking action late because I had these feelings 5 years ago and I didn't, and I've just been like, yeah, I do this, and nothing's happening. And 6 months ago, I said, enough, do something about it right now. You're 30 years old and you're going to be 40 like this, and then your chance is lost. So that's where I am.
That's good. And it is quite weird, isn't it, to think you've almost come full circle, but just in a more evolved way. Like now you're shifting like what you're doing now with something you're working on in the background, and then as soon it's going to be sort of replace it all, which is incredible, really.
I guess that's how like businessmen have multiple businesses sometimes, because once they get a business up and running and working on itself, they have then the ability to start something new. And I guess that's what I'm doing in a different way.
Yeah, that's it. Evolution, isn't it, really? My final question then, quite an interesting one. I don't know what you're going to say to this one, but what do you want your legacy to be, if you want a legacy at all?
I think my legacy kind of is all about what I just said a minute ago, which is never ignoring who you're destined to be and reaching your optimal level, reaching your full potential. So I want my legacy to teach people that it's not just a goal to get your fittest and your healthiest, but it's also your goal to be your best version in all aspects. That we have one chance on this planet. It's already an incredible thing to be here as a human. So give it your best to become your optimal self in whatever that is.
I love that. I love that so much. I wish I had sound effects. I can drop loads of bombs and stuff like that. Yeah, boom, boom. That's amazing. Well, it's been a pleasure. The floor is now yours. If you've got a final message, or you want to tell people where to find out more about you, or you have sort of anything you want to say to them, please let them know.
Well, thank you so much for listening and getting this far. You can find me on social media, all the same name, Alex Crockford, and download the Crockford app if you want to get fitter and healthier. Email me and I'll get back to you.
Lovely. Well, like I said, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If only they knew, the hub for young business minds.